Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. It's Friday, November 13th, coming to you live from our studio in Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-kyan. Before we get started, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. South Korea reported a whopping 191 new COVID-19 cases on Friday, marking the highest number in more than a month. Also beginning today, authorities will begin fining people who don't wear face masks at multiple-use facilities. Local media reports U.S. President Donald Trump is mulling over a last-chance strategy that could enable him to remain in power. Reports say Trump and his campaign team could try to block secretaries of state in contested states from certifying ballot results. And South Korean lawmakers are set to meet with Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga in Tokyo. The group of lawmakers will meet Suga later this Friday to discuss pending issues, including Japan's wartime forced labor of Koreans. We'll begin with the COVID-19 situation in South Korea. The country reported 191 new COVID-19 cases on Friday, the highest number of cases in more than a month. Of the newly added cases, 162 were locally transmitted, with most coming from the greater capital area. In Seoul, some 30 people have tested positive from several care centers for senior citizens. Infections from small gatherings such as fitness centers and after-service centers have also been reported. Cases from overseas also made up 29 of Friday's cases. One more death has been reported, raising the death toll to 488. Starting today, the South Korean government will fine people who are not wearing face masks when they're required to. Masks are mandatory at multiple-use facilities like wedding venues and even when you're taking pictures outside. Our Kim Da-mi has the details.
With the one-month grace period coming to an end, face masks will be mandatory at all multi-use facilities across South Korea. Individual violators will be fined up to $90. Facility owners that allow people to violate the rules can be fined up to $2,700. In principle, people must wear a mask anywhere they can't keep a distance of at least 2 meters from others. From Friday, under all social distancing levels, masks are required at around 24 types of facilities, including singing rooms, restaurants, wedding venues, and theaters. Also included are places vulnerable to the virus, like hospitals, public transportation, and religious venues. And it must be an actual face mask, like medical masks. That means handkerchiefs or scarves will not cut it. Masks also have to be worn properly, not on your chin or just over your mouth. Even while taking pictures or selfies, masks should remain on. But masks will not be mandatory at formal occasions like ceremonies with a limited number of people. Also, masks are not required when eating, drinking, or smoking. When outdoors in open places like parks, no fines will be imposed when keeping a 2-meter distance is possible. But masks are still mandatory when participating in gatherings of more than 500 people. However, there are a few exceptions. They include people who have difficulties breathing, children under 14, and brides and grooms at weddings. Violators will be fined when not wearing masks, even after they're asked to do so by regulators. Kim Da-mi, Arirang News.
All across the globe, countries are reporting new record daily highs in COVID-19 infections. This includes the United States, which saw more than 140,000 cases in the past 24 hours. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
Many health experts at the start of the pandemic warned that the worst was yet to come, predicting a grim winter season. Recent numbers certainly point to that, as a number of countries continue to shatter their daily records. In France, the country reported record infections over the past 3 weeks. COVID-19 hospitalizations in the nation surpassed 32,000, topping the peak reported in April. The record hospitalization numbers come even as some indicators signal the latest curfew and lockdown measures are beginning to slow the spread of the virus. The UK continues to struggle to contain a second wave going into the winter, as it reported 33,470 new cases on Thursday, the highest daily total to date. The death toll in the UK is higher than in any other European country and only trails the United States, Brazil, India, and Mexico globally. No country in the world has seen more COVID-19 infections than the United States, which reported 142,279 new cases on Thursday, an all-time daily high. It marks the second day in a row the country has reached new highs, an eighth straight day where the numbers were above 100,000. The number of people hospitalized reached over 64,000 on Wednesday, the highest ever during the pandemic. As shown by previous cases, the virus can affect anyone, anywhere, including heads of states. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky has been hospitalized after being infected earlier this week. Ukraine's top office says the president went home to self-isolate, but later moved to a hospital to better isolate himself and to avoid exposing anyone else, shooting down rumors his condition had worsened. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
With COVID-19 affecting every corner of the globe, countries have come together at the Third Paris Peace Forum to pledge a collective response to fight the virus and help to recover the ailing global economy. Our Lee Kyung-eun has this package.
COVID-19 takes center stage at the Third Paris Peace Forum, with heads of state and global agencies vowing to make collective efforts to fight the virus. Of particular concern was the issue of a vaccine, as the virtual event comes shortly after positive news on the development front. U.S.-based Pfizer's early data shows its vaccine is more than 90% effective. While leaders acknowledge the significance of the achievement, their focus is on equitable distribution of any potential vaccines.
But we absolutely need to continue our work as an international community. And one of the most important elements is to ensure a fair and equitable access to a potential vaccine.
We must tackle the COVID-19 pandemic together with determination, good science and policy. Develop and distribute a vaccine on an equitable basis.
For the joint global response against COVID-19, countries and private charities have pledged more than $500 million for the WHO-led ACT-A initiative, or the Access to COVID-19 Tools Accelerator. In the meantime, in order to recover from the pandemic's impact on the global economy and to achieve universal prosperity, the participants were urged to facilitate investment.
If the G20 countries move together, invest together, at the same time, they would spend a third less to achieve the same output goal.
Despite being held virtually for the first time due to a nationwide lockdown in France, the Paris Peace Forum will bring together over 10,000 participants, featuring 100 projects over the 3 days, nearly half of which are COVID-19 related. Lee Kyung-eun, Arirang News.
South Korean lawmakers are in Tokyo to meet with Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga. According to the Korea-Japan Parliamentarians Union, they'll meet with Suga on Friday afternoon to discuss pending issues, including Japan's wartime forced labor of Koreans. They aim to foster a friendlier environment for both countries to thrash out their differences. This would be the first meeting between South Korean lawmakers and Suga since he took office in September. On Thursday, parliamentarians from both countries agreed to set up a special committee for the successful hosting of the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics as a means of building cultural bridges. As it seems to be becoming more difficult for the U.S. President Donald Trump's legal cases to overturn Joe Biden's projected win in the presidential election, Republicans are talking about a last chance strategy that involves appointing new electors in contested states. Kim Hyo-sun has the story.
U.S. President Donald Trump is reportedly mulling over a last-chance strategy that could enable him to remain in power. Citing sources, reports by the Wall Street Journal and Axios explained that Trump and his campaign team could try to block secretaries of state in contested states from certifying the ballot counting results. This could allow legislatures in states that are dominated by Republicans to try to appoint new electors who favor Trump over Biden. While Trump has not explicitly said he would pursue this strategy, it would become apparent ahead of the Thanksgiving week as states face deadlines to finalize their election results. Currently, court actions have been brought in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Arizona, which have Republican legislatures. As these states account for 47 electoral college seats, and if they all vote for Trump, Theoretically, the projected election results can be overturned. Legal experts, however, say there is a very low possibility with President Trump not being able to submit solid evidence of election fraud. Against this backdrop, the Trump White House is being seen as obstructing and delaying the transition to Joe Biden. To this, there are continued calls within the Republican Party that Biden should start receiving the same daily intelligence briefing as the ones prepared for Trump. In the past, the government's General Services Administration issued a routine authorization letter a day or so after an election, which paved the way for a presidential team to begin preparing for Inauguration Day on January 20th. Kim Yo-san, Arirang News.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has called on countries to uphold multilateralism amid the COVID-19 pandemic and join efforts to maintain international order. Speaking during an online security summit with Russia and Central Asian countries, Xi also spoke out against foreign interference in the domestic affairs of its partner countries. Our Choi Min-jung reports.
Chinese President Xi Jinping on Tuesday called on countries to strengthen joint efforts to safeguard international order. Xi's remark comes during the 20th meeting of the Council of Heads of State of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, hosted this year by Russia. During the speech, Xi highlighted the Shanghai spirit, emphasizing mutual trust and collective security.
Let us hold high the banner of Shanghai spirit, cooperate sincerely, forge ahead, further promote the development of this organization, and build closer community of shared destiny.
While highlighting the friendship of the 8 member states, Xi urged countries to work towards mutual goals through multilateral cooperation. These include battling the COVID-19 pandemic, distributing vaccines, boosting economic activities, and improving people's livelihoods. In addition, amid rising tensions between China and the U.S., the Chinese leader underlined that he will go against any foreign interference in the domestic affairs of its member states. China is also seeking to strengthen economic cooperation in the Asia-Pacific region, as it is expected to sign the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, a mega trade deal, on Sunday. Meanwhile, the country is in talks with South Korea to arrange President Xi's possible visit to Seoul. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
The South Korean economy is seeing signs of a rebound in production and consumer and business sentiments. In its monthly economic Green Book report released on Friday by the Finance Ministry, production in September increased by over 2% on month, led by an increase in automobiles and semiconductors. Consumer and business sentiments for October rose by around 12 points and 11 points on month respectively as business activities resumed as the spread of COVID-19 slowed down. The report also said exports are showing continuous recovery, but noted that uncertainties remain high due to weakening global economic recovery amid the prolonged pandemic.
Good morning. Central parts of the country are having lots of clouds this morning. And what's more, some western regions are dealing with high dust due to stagnant airflow and dust blowing in from outside the country. The East Coast is still under dry weather advisory, and elsewhere is also feeling the lack of humidity. So don't forget to apply a good amount of moisturizer and drink plenty of water rather than caffeinated drinks. Moving on to the readings now, temperatures will be way above the seasonal norms today, and highs will climb to the upper teens in most parts under lots of autumn sunshine in the afternoon. Dry weather persists through early next week with big swings in the temperatures. And also those who plan to hike to enjoy the last glimpse of autumn beauty this weekend, please be careful with anything that could start a fire. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that's a wrap for us at the hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with more of the day's headlines at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
COVID-19 has brought big changes to our lives, and we've had to adjust to new guidelines and lifestyles.